Two-door coupes have never really been my true styling because, well, my 6-foot frame just doesn't make for a graceful entrance. But this week, the ability to drop the top made things just a little bit simpler. Now, this week's test drive is the 2019 Mazda MX-5. Now, big disclaimer here, I personally own two Mazdas. One, a throwback Thursday 2007 CX-9 that recently passed down to my daughter. The other one, brand new 2009 CX-5 that my wife graces behind the wheel. So anytime a Mazda show up, I at least give it maybe a little bit more fair shake than some of the other offerings. But this week, with the two-door styling, well, it definitely doesn't go with my mantra that bigger is better. But what I truly like is the ability to drop the top. Now, the MX-5 does come in two offerings, the soft top you see here or the hard top, and it's really two distinct differences. The hard top obviously going to seal up that inside just a hair more with that good old wind noise. This one being a little bit more traditional in the soft back approach. Now, what I like is the approach with this soft top. Basically, the ability to drop it down in a whim. That makes it so much easier on me. Basically, what I do is unlock the vehicle, reach in, unlatch it, and fold it right down. That makes ingress for, well, this lanky frame pretty much means I can slide right in. The measurements really give the full picture. And as you can tell, it's about an arm stretch for me, around about 154 inches overall. Wheelbase, just under 91 inches. Width, not too shabby, about 68 inches wide, which accounts for a little bit more gracious atmosphere on the inside. It snugs the road pretty close at around about 5 inches. As for the front to rear track, it's just a hair wider here at the rear end. But another good number to think about is the overall height, and for me, that's about the only true compromising number, around about 4 feet tall, which again, to scale, just makes me look a little bit awkward getting out. Now, the MX-5 has a nice traditional roadster approach, elongated hood, modest offering when it comes to the rear deck lid, but really tucks in nice right above the rear haunches. The cabin truly offering decent comfort for two people. Now, what I do like is also the overall design. When it comes to the kind of chiseling effect of the new millennial of cars, well, this takes a softer approach. You can see just a hint of ridgeline, maybe through the hood and maybe just a hair back there, but pretty much everything else has a curvaceous look to it, soft edges. Now, when you look at the headlight and taillight assembly, you will see kind of a rounding effect built into the horizontal approach there on the rear taillights. Up front, more of a menacing look with this kind of squinty headlight beam that really sweeps all the way across. Now, what I do like, it has nice running lights tucked down low. The headlights traditional cylinder approach right here on this long sweeping lens with a little bit of bedazzling there on the outer side. Grille warfare, as you expect. The hood here really sweeping about as far as it can go, implied all the way down to the front, really with a nice lower grille opened up about as wide as it can go. When it comes to the four corners, you're going to see standard 16-inch wheels like you have here, or you can upgrade to 17-inch version. Now, I do like with the darkened rims like you see, that seems to be kind of a nice standard across the Mazda lineup, even right down to my CX-5. Now, I mentioned earlier about ingress, and my overall stature just makes it for a back-bending affair, but one way to help with that is really dropping the top each time you enter. Now, before we get there, it's all about smart key systems, and thankfully this worked out real well, primarily because, well, it has access points at each door. Now, the key fobs, of course, are getting smarter and smarter. Really nice and simple, lock, unlock for the vehicle, as well as a release there for the back trunk. Now, pretty much real simple button right here, opens it up nice and quick. Now, again, if you're my height, getting inside is just really awkward, but one thing I like to do is kind of just reach right in here, grab the release handle. That's going to release it real quick, and you can drop the top. That is one of the simplest tops I've used in quite a while. Just a one-step approach versus other vehicles that have dual locks right above the shades here. Now, all you got to do now is just simply turn around and slide right in. Now, if you want to make this vehicle the weekend warrior for the getaways, this is where it all begins, the good old cargo area, because really the cabin is simply going to hold two people. There is a modest shelf back here behind the front seats when the top is up that you can put a few items if you need to. Now, getting in here, first off, really took just a second of searching around. Really no simple button up here, traditional area I would think to place it. Instead, for my height, I had to bend again further and further down. There's a button way down here. Once you press that, it's going to pop right open. Now certainly you can use the key fob to get in here quicker, but this just seemed to be a really low place to put it. Now once this is open, what you're going to see is around about 4.5 cubic feet of space. And just to give you a scale, that holds the Bounty 12 pack of paper towels. Pretty much fills this whole entire area. Now you do have a little bit of niche back through here. Now there is no compromising of space when the top is down. You have this amount of space all the time. Now when it comes to the engine and the hood, this vehicle is properly equipped with a 2.0 liter 4-cylinder engine that delivers around about 181 horses and 151 foot-pounds of torque, and really that all equates to nice boot scooting boogie fun. Now that also is because this particular model came with a 6-speed manual transmission, and while I'm not a big fan of the clutch dance because I prefer to put it in automatic and well hold my coffee while I go down the road, well this made it just a little bit more spirited, mainly because I was revving her up looking for the shift points and pretty much hammering her down the road. Not to say you can't do that with the optional 6-speed automatic, which is going to have the paddle shifters there on the steering wheel, but either way, this light overall weight and pretty decent engine definitely will make it rocket science. The one place where every vehicle has to measure up is overall legroom, because it just doesn't well squeeze me in there. I just can't well find the overall comfort. Now what you're going to find here on the MX-5 is around about 43 inches. Now that's decent numbers that typical even large SUVs are going to deliver. Now when it comes to seating, what you're going to find is decent offering with this sport style seating. What I truly liked, not too bolstered, really nice and enveloping here on the sides, and really can handle about any size frame individual with ease. Now if you've been in any latest Mazda, what you're going to really recognize is this upper screen right here and the central control knob right between the front occupants. Now what I truly like is this makes the Mazdas feel a little bit more premium, kind of like an upgrade. This really integrating with the screen with ease. Now what you're going to find is just real easy to toggle around. Really the home screen giving you tons of options. Now where I always end up is right here with the music. Click that and it goes full screen. Now naturally you have these kind of lower options, and for the satellite radio this is okay, but one thing I like is on the traditional radio side. I wish they would do it more like that, and I'll show you why. So pretty much if you go here, you're going to find the channel listing. You can easily scroll right through, find what you're looking for, hit enter, but then it goes back to full screen. So then when I'm going to want to go back to another channel, got to go back through this various settings. Now if I go and go to the regular FM radio, what you're going to do is find it just a hair easier, almost kind of a throwback Thursday to almost when radios were invented. What you're going to find is the tune select. This is kind of just an old school dial. What I like is just the ability to quickly scroll through, find what I'm looking for, and it's going to play it. Now if I hit enter, it's going to go back to that, but what you do is just simply leave it here. Just dial in, it's going to tune to that radio and leave it alone. Unfortunately, when you're on satellite, it just doesn't treat it in this manner. Wouldn't be bad if you had all the 0 to 200 stations right here and you just simply scroll through as you want. Now symmetry is basically the easiest part and the only true option I see when it comes to designing a vehicle, and Mazda truly harnesses that here in the climate control area. And while other manufacturers don't harness what we see here is beyond me. Now what I'm referring to is basically these nice 3 big knobs and all the functions built in right to it, really right down to the temperature select, fan speed, and the various modes, not to mention the hidden buttons right in the middle. Real easy to well set up the design and make it look so symmetric. Now if you're like me, don't be confused when this area is not illuminated, because I just started to think this is kind of an 8-track that you throw in, kind of a flashback to the good old days, but actually this is just kind of an area that illuminates some safety features when they're turned on. Now what you're going to find over here is the heating of the front seats, as well as some connectivity down here, USB and auxiliary jack, and a nice huge storage area, nice padded surface. Now again, I'm big into the wireless charging. This would be a perfect opportunity to set that up here. One thing I didn't find besides the USB charging connection is a traditional power supply. I just didn't see any connectivity here. Even looked right to this shallow storage area. That's basically good enough for maybe a pack of gum or some candy. That's to be expected. Now even back here, you will find a reverse kind of glove compartment right here. No connectivity in there at all, but that's where you can lock things up if you do leave the top down. Now between the front occupants, you will find room for 2 cup holders here, and you will notice that they can be removed, and that's helpful because in some cases this is somewhat in the way, but this one can be moved up here by the front occupant's leg area. Pretty much locks right into this spot. Takes just a second to find the groove, and once you do, really can sit right there. Now it does compromise legroom here on this side, so I'd argue that this is truly when only the pilot's in the area and wants quicker access to their beverage, because that is a nice landing spot to put there. Plenty of height even for the bigger, taller drinks. For the gauge clutch, you're going to find an analog tach and speedometer, with the tach really finding the prime position. Now here on the left side is a nice digital readout with some various information. You can kind of scroll through the controls here on the steering wheel. It took me just a second. The upper button's really integrating with entertainment, but simply pressing info here in the middle, that's going to change to various functions there. You can scroll through. I do like all the information it provides. Now one thing I do prefer is kind of a digital readout for the speed, but you do have the good old standard one over there, but a nice digital readout gives you a little bit quicker glance at what's going on. Now that little darkened little indicator right there, that does provide you kind of the shift points when you're going down the road. It will kind of indicate shift to the next one. You'll see it 1, 2 to 3 to 4, 5, 6, so on. But this really is a nice setup and to be expected. On the steering wheel, you'll find controls for the cruise here on the right side. As for entertainment, that's going to be on the left side with your phone selection down here below. To help with the overall driver comfort, you do have this handle here. That's going to help with the reclinability, but again, it's only going to go so far, pretty much going from vertical to maybe 85 degrees back. Now over here on this side, this is a little bit of bolstering here in the thigh area. You simply turn it. It's going to give you a little bit more support in the vertical sense, raising up this way just to give you a little bit more elevation. So after a week-long test drive behind the wheel of the MX-5, what was my final takeaways? Well, this vehicle truly measured up. Now, certainly on paper, it comes in small, and in person, I certainly come in large. So the combination of the two just seemed like an awkward mix. But really, with a combination of, well, making my ingress so much easier by dropping this top, and pretty much the fact that I looked a little bit cooler behind the wheel, well, all that combined for a week-long bit of fun. Not to mention the spirited ride with that engine under the hood, and actually me enjoying the shift points with that manual transmission. And don't forget, it can truly be a weekend warrior with that modest offering there to the back end. Now, as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.